strengthening the Farmwork program.
We gave a commitment to improve the selection process and to better prepare our Jamaican workers, our candidates, to perform well when they go overseas.
Plus measures to encounter the onset of drought.
Drought is a complex and multifaceted challenge that requires a coordinated and sustained response from all levels of the government.
A comprehensive roundup of those developments later in our show. There's so much more, so stay with us.
As children of Her Excellency the Warrior Nanny of the Maroons, and as sons and daughters of Excellency Sam Sharp, Paul Bogle, George William Gordon, and Marcus Garvey, who paid for their lives and their freedoms, we have a duty to the present and the future generations. We have an obligation to fulfill the manifest destiny that is ours as a nation. We are a people with a message for the world. We are a nation that is destined. My vision, the vision of this government, is that we can achieve what any other country in the world has achieved.
Good day, I'm Lisa Rowe and this is your JIS News for Thursday, April 18, 2024. The government is following through on a commitment to significantly boost the fleet of the Jamaica Urban Transit Company this year. Information Minister Robert Morgan reveals that Cabinet has approved a contract to purchase 100 new compressed natural gas CNG buses for the JUTC.
And the award was for $18,900,000 US to Vans Motor Company Limited.
Minister Morgan was addressing Wednesday's post-cabinet press briefing at Jamaica House. Transport Minister Darrell Vaz had previously said the new CNG-fueled buses were being sourced to arrive in time for the start of the 2024-2025 academic year in September.
10 of the buses of the 100 will be equipped for the disabled community. And Mr. Speaker, that is a policy that I have implemented, that in the purchase of any set of buses, 10% must be for the disabled community.
The buses are to form part of the 300 mixed energy units that the government will be acquiring over the next 3 years to boost the state-run JUTC's fleet and address needs in the public transportation system. The JUTC operates over 70 routes in Kingston, Portmore, and Spanish Town. State Minister for National Security Juliet Cuthbert-Flynn says her ministry is committed to stemming the flow of illicit firearms and ammunition. She says providing adequate resources for firearms training is among the many measures being pursued.
The illicit trafficking and proliferation of firearms continue to be a matter of national concern, which has demanded a comprehensive response involving a mixture of legislation, policy, and also operational improvements. At the national level, steps have also been taken to strengthen the legislative framework governing the regulations of firearm and ammunition through the passage of the new Firearms Prohibition, Restriction and Regulations Act in 2022.
Mrs. Cuthbert-Flynn was speaking at the Firearms Marking Workshop held at the Institute of Forensic Science and Legal Medicine on Tuesday. She urged the participants, comprised of ballistic experts and law enforcement officers, to make the best of the workshop, which is meant to strengthen Jamaica's national capacity to mark and trace firearms locally. Still on security, the Portfolio Minister, Dr. Horace Chang, says 1,500 additional closed-circuit television CCTV cameras are needed for the Jamaica Eye initiative to provide proper surveillance across the country. He was speaking on Tuesday during the handing over ceremony of 215 surveillance cameras at the ministry. The cameras, valued at $400,000 US, were donated to the JCF by the Korean government.
The team responsible is developing also a master plan that will accurately reflect the level of coverage that is required across the various rural and urban centers. So we look forward to further cooperation, although we are committed to getting where we're going. Scoping activities are underway, however, and we anticipate that some 1,500 additional cameras will be required to cover the critical points across the island. There may be more for other activities, well, for supplementary activities designed to give a completeness.
Jamaica Eye is designed to provide coverage of all major towns and highways in Jamaica. Minister Chang says to date, more than 800 cameras have been installed. An additional 350 are scheduled for installation in the downtown Kingston and Olympic Way spaces. Minister of Labour and Social Security, Pernell Charles Jr., says the Employment Code of Practice for persons with disabilities has been drafted and is expected to be reviewed this financial year to facilitate implementation. It's in keeping with provisions in the Disabilities Act for the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, JCPD, to formulate codes of practice on how the society can accommodate persons with disabilities.
The code will provide a valuable source of guidance for employers in learning, in understanding how to treat and how to relate with persons with disabilities from the point of recruitment to that of retirement.
Minister Charles Jr. also warns against discriminating against persons with disabilities. He notes that the Disabilities Rights Tribunal has been established to ensure that there is a body to adjudicate on matters of discrimination against persons with disabilities.
And I want to take this opportunity to invite any person, anyone who believes that his or her rights have been transgressed to make a complaint. Do not hesitate. Utilize all that is available to you to protect your rights. Put it in writing to the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities and let us work with you to make sure that the law is adhered to.
The minister was speaking at the 6th Regional Disability Studies Conference held at the University of the West Indies Regional Headquarters in Kingston on Tuesday. The Ministry of Education is increasing its efforts to attract and retain more primary school mathematics teachers to improve student performance in the subject. State Minister Marsha Smith made the assertion during the Mathematics Teacher of the Year and the Jamaican Mathematical Olympiads Awards ceremony held on April 15 at the Uemona campus in Kingston. She says the ministry and the teacher training colleges will partner to enhance the programs they provide and expand the teaching and learning possibilities.
Despite mathematics being an important subject, poor and underperformance has been reported in many countries, including our own. To help in this regard, the Ministry of Education and Youth Mathematics Unit has been working through a series of workshops and seminars to change the experiences that students have with the subject and to make it more appealing.
To highlight Mathematics Week, the ministry awarded Kamika Ingram of Green Pond Primary School in Region 4 as a Mathematics Teacher of the Year. Outstanding students in the Jamaican Mathematical Olympiad, JMO, were also recognized. And finally, students getting ready for the upcoming Primary Exit Profile PEP exam can now gauge their readiness through a new app. The Connect to Higher Education Electronic Tools Application and Help Cheetah software was developed by a team of educators in partnership with the Ministry of Education and the Development Bank of Jamaica. It is designed to help grades 4 to 6 students practice for the PEP exam. Founder and CEO of Cheetah Toys and More LLC, Paulette Trowers, explains that the app will replicate the real PEP test, which is based on the 40-question standard used by the Ministry of Education.
Students have access to over 2,000 bank of questions in 5 core areas for both grade 4 and grade 6, and we are continuously adding content as we go along. In addition to the access, they could actually do 3 different types of tests. They have the ability to do practice tests, they could do a diagnostic test first, which is what we recommend, and they could also do a final test.
The product was launched during a recent JIS think tank session. Users can download the app for free from the Google Play Store until the end of May, after which a monthly fee will be required. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Lisa Rowe. Thanks for watching.
Jamaica Eye will play a part in increasing your public safety.
Jamaica Eye is part of an island-wide network of camera surveillance systems designed to increase the safety of you, our citizens. If you have a camera system outside your home or office facing a public space, log on to jamaicaeye.gov.jm today. Jamaica Eye, we're all connected. The Ministry of National Security, creating a safer and prosperous Jamaica.
The government is restructuring the Overseas Employment Program, more commonly known as the Farmwork Program. The intention is to climatize workers to the tasks required and satisfy the needs of both workers and employers. Here's more from Labour Minister Pernell Charles Jr.
I rise to update this Honourable House briefly on matters relating to the Overseas Employment Program, better known as the Farmwork Program, as per our commitment to highlight also a few of the plans going forward. During my ministerial visits to both Canada and the US last year, we spent a lot of time listening to employers and our farm workers and other stakeholders, and they highlighted a number of challenges which we are making every effort to address. When we discussed this last year, we gave a commitment to improve the selection process and to better prepare our Jamaican workers, our candidates, to perform well when they go overseas. We will therefore be introducing a range of strategies to do so in order to boost the program. These include building the capacity and employability skills of workers through human resource development and training, improving service delivery to both workers and employers through the ministry and through our liaison service, and strengthening of the capacity of the program to satisfy the needs of our workers as well as our employers, both of whom are critical to us in this partnership. As a part of the regular process, candidates who we nominate are called upon to ensure that they are literate and numerate, and everyone can understand why. We are also enhancing, Mr. Speaker, colleagues, the assessment process with a psychometric tool to get better insight into the personality profile to determine best fit. As you know, for success, it is your attitude, not your aptitude, that determines your altitude. As I had indicated during the sensitization session with the MPs in January, the ministry will be collaborating also with HEART NSTA Trust to prepare workers for work through employment readiness training. Candidates will also engage in crop propagation courses at one of our agricultural institutions, and we intend and we look forward to sharing further details on this during my sectoral presentation. The goal is to be more deliberate and to be more consistent in terms of providing support for our Jamaican workers to be best prepared as they go overseas. A lot of the complaints we find, Mr. Speaker, are not just on the living conditions, but they're coming from persons who have great disparity between their perception and the reality. And so we find that we have to take more time in a conscious way to ensure that our Jamaicans, myself and Dr. Dunn, are on the ground ensuring that they know what they're going towards and what they're getting into. I want to encourage my fellow parliamentarians, Mr. Speaker, to conduct your own screening. I know that several parliamentarians have been doing this, and let me reiterate at this time the criteria for participation. To satisfy, to be eligible rather, you must be between 21 and 45 years of age. You must be literate, you must be able to read, you must hold a valid Jamaican passport, you must have a NIS and a TRN, no criminal record, able to work long hours and to perform work that is physically demanding. You must have some experience in farming and preferably be registered with RADA. You must never have been previously disqualified from participating in any of the ministry's overseas employment programs due to medical or any other reason. And finally, we require that you have not been deported from any country. The measures mentioned above, Mr. Speaker, are aimed at improving the program. That's the bottom line. Building trust and cooperation of workers and the long-term commitment of employers. These are the important elements for the development and the further growth of this very important program.
The Joint Select Committee of Parliament reviewing the Domestic Violence Act wants to hear from you. Review the Act and share your opinions with the committee. You can find a copy of the Act on the Parliament's website at www.japarliament.gov.jm under the heading Publications. Once you have reviewed the Act, submit your written opinions by Tuesday, April 30, 2024 to Clerk to the Houses, Gordon House, 81 Duke Street, Kingston, or clerk@japarliament.gov.jm. Let your voice be heard.
As the country grapples with the onset of drought and projected below normal rainfall for the rainy season, the government has implemented measures to offset the impact on affected sectors and residents. Here's Prime Minister Andrew Holness with the details.
The devastating impact of drought on our people, communities, economy, and environment is a focus of my administration, and your government is working to reduce the impact on the nation. This includes the emergency funding of $150 million for the trucking of water and procurement and distribution of a limited amount of water tanks. Most of this will go towards the trucking of water. We will keep a small reserve where we see we need to have emergency procurement of water tanks. We assess that there are 50 constituencies that are impacted. For those 50 constituencies, they will get $1.5 million for trucking. For Clarendon, we will give Clarendon Southwest, Southeast, Central, Northwest, North Central, North an additional $2.5 million. And the municipal corporation will get $5 million. So in St. Elizabeth Northeast, St. Elizabeth Northwest, St. Elizabeth Southeast, St. Elizabeth Southwest, those constituencies will be allocated an additional $2.5 million, and the municipal corporation will get $5 million. Westmoreland Central, Westmoreland East, Westmoreland West, those constituencies will get $2.5 additional, and the municipal corporation will get $5 million. Hanover East and Hanover West, same $2.5 million additional, but we will give the municipal corporation $7.5 million, specifically to assist within the Negril area where the issues there are significant. Centre and Northwest will get $2.5 million and the municipal corporation will get $7.5 million. So we will have reserve of $5 million. And that reserve we will use to treat with the 13 constituencies that are not given an allocation. But if an emergency were to arise, or the Member of Parliament is able to point out that there is a specific community that needs some service, then from that $5 million we would be able to respond over the next 4 weeks. I want to say that $150 million is not enough. It cannot solve the problem entirely. However, it is what we are able to do right now, and it is for a short period of time, as we expect that we will get rainfall starting the end of April into May. So we are really making this as a budgetary arrangement for the next 4 weeks. I wish to assure the citizens of Westmoreland and Hanover, particularly Negril and environs, that we will continue beyond this allocation if, as projected, dry conditions persist into the summer. During this period, the NWC made we provided for the NWC $30 million to support the trucking and provision of water to the residents of Brownstown. I also wish to note that the parishes of St. Elizabeth and Clarendon have also received additional support from the government as they have been affected. And, Mr. Speaker, these measures should not be contemplated as the sole response based upon potable water. The Ministry of Local Government is giving support to several communities. In fact, they have allocated $100 million for trucking, and indeed the parish councils themselves giving support for trucking to communities that have been affected. A number of farming communities have benefited. The Ministry of Agriculture and a team from RADA have made significant effort in supporting several communities in Clarendon, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, and Trelawney. These are the parishes that have been most affected by drought conditions, agricultural drought conditions. The Ministry of Agriculture has a now well-established system of mitigating drought, and they have started the trucking of water to the parishes of St. Elizabeth and Manchester through the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, and they have also started to provide more water supply through the National Irrigation Commission. And during the period January to March 2024, over 9 million gallons of water have been trucked to approximately 900 farmers to alleviate the impact of the dry spell. The ministry has also distributed 9,000 square meters of pond liners, with 45 recipients benefiting from that. These farmers are now able to better harvest their crops and use the limited and intermittent rainfall that they have received. The NIC has also distributed 44 650-gallon tanks, 14 1,000-gallon tanks, and 400 12-millimeter reels of drip hoses. So that's significant assistance to our farmers in this time of great need in the drought. I have instructed the Minister of Agriculture to ramp up the program as we enter into the heights of our dry season, and the ministry has earmarked $60 million to treat with the trucking of water, provision of additional drip irrigation support, and other support for our livestock farmers. Drought is a complex and multifaceted challenge that requires a coordinated and sustained response from all levels of the government, the private sector, and the community at large. By working together with understanding, empathy, foresight, and determination, we can overcome this crisis and build a brighter, more resilient future where all Jamaicans can have access to potable water in a convenient manner.
All motorists, pedestrians, private and public operators, motorcyclists, it is important for us to drive defensively. Driving defensively saves lives, and we know that lives are most important to each and every one of us. It is important also to be trained and certified as a defensive driver, for it increases the likelihood that you'll prevent collisions on our roadways.
Chung, chair of the Heart Foundation of Jamaica, and I'm here to talk about Heart Month because February is Heart Month. Every year, the Heart Foundation of Jamaica, as well as other local and international organizations concerned with heart health, highlight Heart Month, in which we choose a theme related to heart health, which we want to give emphasis to. And this year, our theme is Prevent Heart Failure, Get Screened, Keep the Beat. Heart failure means that the heart is not working as effectively or efficiently as it should, and so it does not efficiently keep the circulation of blood and fluids around the body as it should. And therefore you end up with a constellation of signs and symptoms. Patients with heart failure may get swelling of the body, they get short of breath. Heart failure is not a diagnosis in and of itself. It indicates that there's some underlying factor that has led to this. The heart is a very common organ that hypertension targets, and hypertension can lead to heart failure. Diabetes, because it works to damage the blood vessels that supply blood to the heart muscle, and in that way the heart muscle may not work properly. People with rheumatic heart disease, in whom the valves aren't working properly and you're getting leakage across the valves, or the valves are too tight, over time it can affect the heart muscle and can cause the heart to become enlarged and can lead on to heart failure. Well, three important reasons. One is heart failure is common. We have a large and really burgeoning population of people worldwide who are now living with heart failure. And why is that? Population generally is getting older, and heart failure in general tends to become more common as you get older. The second reason is heart failure has a high mortality. We now have very good drugs for treating heart failure, but the mortality is still high, and if we don't treat heart failure properly, it can certainly shorten your life. And the other reason is it can be preventable. And that's the most important reason. The easiest way is to identify the underlying factors which can lead on to heart failure and treat them properly. So you need to go and get screened, check your blood pressure, get your ECG done, check your blood sugar, check your cholesterol. These are the underlying conditions, or these are the underlying risk factors that can lead on to heart failure. So identify the risk factors, because you can, in a lot of circumstances, prevent the onset of heart failure. Heart failure is not inevitable if you have one of these conditions, but you have to be aware and you have to be willing to do what it takes to prevent heart failure. Don't become a statistic.
This is where our journey ends, but only for today. Do join us again tomorrow when we'll bring another informative program. In the meantime, stay connected via our website, gis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at gis.gov.jm or via X at JIS News. You may also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.